Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name's Mel. Thank you so much for joining me today for my BookTube birthday celebration. I'm really excited because I've been on BookTube for 2 years. I can't believe that I have been doing this for 2 years now and I still really enjoy it. I have made some content that I'm really proud of. I have met some absolutely amazing people and made some fantastic friends, and yeah, it's just something that I have come to really love, and it's a big part of my life now. So to celebrate that, I thought that I would create this video. I got the idea for this particular video from Helen from Helen's Bookhaven. This probably has been done by a number of different booktubers, but Helen is the person that inspired me to do this particular video. And what I'm doing to celebrate my BookTube birthday is I have asked a bunch of different amazing booktubers who I am very fortunate to be able to call friends of mine to recommend me some books. So we are going to switch between those videos and me reacting to the recommendations. I thought it was only fitting that the first person that I would start with was Helen from Helen's Bookhaven, since she gave me the idea when she asked me to be part of the same kind of video she did for her BookTube birthday. So let's go now to Helen and see what she's recommended.
Hi Mel, congratulations on 2 years on BookTube. I decided to pick a book that I read for Eurovision in April-May time, as you have been a very prominent contender in Eurovision-a-thon so far. I decided to pick the book that I'd read for Sweden, which was The Readers of Broken Wheel Recommend by Katarina Bivald. It's got that very small town feel, but it's about a woman from Sweden who decides to go to a little town in America to meet a woman who she's been a pen friend with for some time. Somewhere along the way she decides she wants to open a bookshop in this town and people aren't very supportive of her. It's just about the people in this town and this woman and their relationship and how people are with outsiders, but ultimately how a community can pull together as well. So there's a lot of different things going on there, but I really enjoyed it. I think you'll really enjoy it. And so good luck, and here's to the next year.
It's not a book that I've heard of before, but it sounds really sweet. Yeah, it just sounds like the kind of cozy, people getting to know each other, exploration of a small town and people and their personalities that I really enjoy. So thank you so much, Helen. I am really looking forward to picking this one up eventually. Now, what would a video like this be without Ellie from Earl Grey Books? Let's see what she has to suggest for me.
Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this video, and happy BookTube birthday. I don't know if you would have picked the one that I'm gonna recommend to you. We've talked about it before and I've told you that you have to read it for a very particular reason, and the book is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Riordan. Because if you remember, you can't be one of Percy's adopted aunts if you haven't read his namesake book. I think you'll really enjoy this series. It's such a fun series and I would really love to hear what you think about it and all that kind of good stuff. So that's the one that I've picked for you. Again, happy BookTube birthday. Thank you so much for being my friend for the last year, and it's been such an honor to watch your channel grow and to get to know you better. So I hope you're having a good day, and I will see you next time.
I mean, she's right. How can I possibly be an honorary aunt to Percy without having read his namesake? I wasn't a child or a teenager when Percy Jackson came out, so I missed the Percy Jackson thing. Been hearing really great things about it. Obviously it's one of Ellie's favourite books, so I really do want to give it a go. So thank you so much, Ellie, and I'm excited to get to this one hopefully soon. Alright, so now I am going to let Eric from Break Even Books recommend me a book.
Happy second BookTube birthday. So I heard that you wanted a recommendation for a book to read. So I am coming here to recommend to you They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I saw that this was on your want to read list on Goodreads, and I think you definitely should pick this one up. This is a book that will stick with you after you're done reading it, and you will just feel very emotional. So maybe save this for a time when you want to feel in your emotions. But yeah, this one will definitely hit you hard. and I think that you will like this one.
I am really excited because I'm actually going to be reading this book with Connor from Connor's Library Corner this month. We're going to be reading it towards the end of the month. I am actually a little bit surprised, to be honest with you. I thought that Eric would recommend Red Rising by Pierce Brown, so I was surprised, but not unpleasantly so, because I've heard some amazing things about this book, about Adam Silvera in general, so I'm super excited to pick this one up this month. So thank you so much for your recommendation, Eric. And we are now going to go over to Kat from Stars and Embers.
Congratulations on your 2-year booktube anniversary, Mel. So Mel, I would like to recommend you Game Board of the Gods by Rochelle Mead. This is book 1 in the Age of X series. I am constantly recommending people this one, but because you read so widely, I think you will like it. It is an adult fantasy / dystopian. It takes place after like World War IV, and it takes place in America, but America is like no longer America. There's 3 main characters. We have our main girl who is on the cover. She is a soldier. The male main character is a religious investigator, and then we have the perspective of a teenage girl. And in this world, gods are real. Like all of them, from like Greek to Roman to Egyptian to Norse, like any and all gods are real in this, but they haven't been making themselves known lately. But, you know, they're also kind of getting a little restless, so things start happening. There's mystery and action and romance. And like, they never did publish book 3, but I'm hoping if enough people read it, they will finally publish it. I really enjoyed this, and I hope you do too.
So this book sounds really, really, really interesting. I do remember vaguely seeing this on Kat's channel in a previous video, and I thought that it sounded fantastic when I saw that then, so I'm not really surprised that Kat has recommended this book. I know Rochelle Mead is one of her favourite authors, so yeah, it sounds really interesting and I'm super excited to read it. So thank you so much, Kat, for your recommendation. Let's go now to Victoria from What Victoria Read.
And I was really excited and honoured when Mel asked me to take part in this video. Mel, I absolutely love your channel. I really enjoy everything that you do. It always just feels like I'm sat having a chat with a friend, and it's just really lovely, and you're such a wonderful, like, supportive member of the community. And yeah, it was just really chuffed that you asked me to get involved with this. I had a look through your read list on Goodreads, and then I decided to recommend you something different. So I know that you read a lot of like fantasy and a bit of sci-fi and classics and stuff like that. The book that I picked for you is none of those, but it's one of my favourite reads of this year, and I know that you've read The Handmaid's Tale, and this is kind of along those lines, and that book is Madam by Phoebe Wynne. I absolutely loved this book when I read it earlier this year. It was a recommendation from Jean at Jean's Bookish Thoughts. She was completely right. We are following a young classics teacher who gets a job at a very prestigious school up in the Highlands of Scotland, and we're in the 90s, and when she arrives, things just seem a little bit off. And obviously you're a fellow teacher as well. I feel like this captures really well what it's like to be a new teacher in a school, and also that very specific kind of cruelty that comes from teenage girls. Yeah, this gets really dark and weird and tense, and it kind of gave me Rebecca vibes, Jane Eyre vibes, just very kind of classic gothic literature with a little bit of Margaret Atwood woven in. I loved it, and I really hope you enjoy it.
I love the way that Victoria looked at what I had read and what I had on my want to read and totally went off script completely, and that she said, I know you read this and this, but I'm going to recommend you something entirely different. And I genuinely mean that. I really like that. It just means that she's, you know, trying to broaden my horizons, which is fantastic. And also, thank you so much, Victoria, and everyone who so far has made their little video. You've all said some really lovely things, and I really, really appreciate that. So yeah, thank you. That's amazing. Yeah, so the book that Victoria recommended is another one that I think I also saw on Jean from Jean's Bookish Thoughts channel as well, and I thought it sounded really, really interesting. I do enjoy a historical fiction every now and then, and I did really love The Handmaid's Tale, so I'm super excited to read it. So thank you, Victoria. And now let's go and see what Lana from Lore and Lullabies has recommended.
Hey Mel, guess what? You've been on YouTube for 2 years now. What? That is amazing. So I am here to say, you already know, I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. I love your channel. I love everything you do. Thank you so much for just being a very, very dear friend. Is it weird that I talk to you I know we're like internet friends, but also I feel like we're real friends. Like, I talk to you about my life and everything more than I talk to anyone else in my life about my life. So this is my video. You know it wasn't going to be cohesive and coherent. You said you wanted the raw stuff. I'm sorry for my chaos, but I love you and you're just amazing. And I have a book recommendation for you. Due to your recommendations, I have got Akita because I know that you enjoyed that series so much. So in that same vein, I have 2 books that I'm going to recommend to you. I know you only said 1, but why not have 2? So the first book that I am recommending to you is The Longing of Lone Wolves by Lana. She is an Australian indie author, and because you liked Akita, I feel like you will like this. This is new adult, but it's not super steamy. It's set in futuristic dystopian fantasy Las Vegas. I don't want to tell you too much from there. If you ever want to borrow this series, let me know. I'll send it to you, or when we catch up, I'll bring it with me. I absolutely loved this book, and in this series, each book is a different guardian. So I hope you read this and I hope you like it. And this cover. Don't you want to have this cover on your shelf, even though I'm not really displaying it and I should? The next book I also recommended to Ali because I absolutely love her. I did go to school with her, so I'm a little bit biased, but not really. And that is Fantasy of Frost by Kelly St. Clair. I absolutely love this. This is one of my favorite series of all time. It is YA, kind of NA, and I would just love to talk about this with you. It's pretty short. It's 250 pages. You can blow through it super quickly. I'm recommending this to you because it is a New Zealand indie author, but also the found family trope is my favorite, and this does it so well. The series is 4 books, but there are also some novellas for it as well. But yeah, I absolutely love this. I hope that you'll like it. Ali said that she did, so it's pretty much my mission to tell everyone about this series and get them to read it. So there was no way that this was not going to be on this recommendation video. But yeah, Mel, this is just for you. You're amazing. I love you, and congratulations on 500 subscribers and also 2 years here. I love you. Thank you so much for being so welcoming when we first met, and I'm so glad I found you and I commented in your comment section, and somehow, I don't know when it happened, but somehow you just became like part of my furniture. You're part of my daily life now, and I just absolutely love you, and I'm gonna tear up, so I'm gonna go. But yeah, I love you.
Thank you so much for your very kind words, Lana. That's so sweet of you. I love you too. And same to everyone on this video. I am really stoked that she recommended a book from an Australian author and a book from a New Zealand author. Not at all surprised that they were both indie. Lana's a huge advocate for indie and self-published books, which I think is absolutely amazing. So I'm super excited to get some great recommendations from her. And these books just sound really fantastic. I love that she has gone down the fantasy route because she knows that I do love fantasy. So perfect choices. Thank you so much, Lana. Let's go now and see what Connor from Connor's Library Corner has recommended.
Hi Mel, thank you so much for asking me to recommend a book to you. I've been thinking long and hard about the book I actually want to recommend, and I have made a decision. It is a book that I would class as one of my favourite books, if not my actual favourite book of all time. It is a book I have reread the most times, and it's one that I actually think you might enjoy. So the book I'm recommending is Flowers in the Attic by Virginia Andrews. This is a sort of literary fiction novel which follows 4 children and their mother. The mother suddenly loses her partner in a tragic accident, and she can't afford to keep the family alive just on her own income. So the only way that she can afford to keep the family going is by inheriting a fortune from her dying father. The issue is her father has cut her out of the inheritance, so she has to go home to see if she can win her way back into the inheritance. But the condition of the inheritance was he will allow her to inherit his fortune as long as she never had children with the man she married. She has 4 children, so what she has to do is hide the children in the attic and pretend to her father that they don't exist until the day he dies in order to gain the inheritance. And the story follows those children in the attic. It is very gothic and dark and mysterious and eerie. It's just got that wonderful piece of writing where it's so atmospheric, but also you can see the development throughout the story. You can see the change from the start of the book to the end and what the characters are like. It's not a book I would typically like. I don't like literary fictions. I don't like really deep atmospheric books that are written like that. I like plot-driven books, and this is very much a character study and things like that. It's a beautiful story, but it's also a really dark and terrible story. I can't explain why it's my favourite, other than the fact that when I read it, it stayed with me, and I think that's the power of this book. It will always stay with you. So this is the book I've recommended for you, and I hope that you read it and love every moment. I hope so. Hopefully, I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
I love that this is one of Connor's favourite books of all time. For some reason, it is not a book that I would ever have thought would be one of Connor's favourite books of all time. I have actually read Flowers in the Attic a couple of times now. I've read it when I was a teenager and absolutely loved it, and read everything from VC Andrews or Virginia Andrews that I could find. And then recently, in the last year or so, I actually reread Flowers in the Attic, and I did think that it stood up. I didn't love it as much as I did when I was a teenager. I wouldn't say it's one of my favourite books of all time. Sorry, Connor. But I'm really excited that he recommended this book to me. Even though I have read it, I did enjoy it, and it's just nice to know that we are sort of on the same page, I guess. So thank you so much, Connor. Let's go now and check out what Brooke from Brooke's Books has recommended for me.
Hi! Happy BookTube birthday! I feel honoured that you have asked me to supply you a book for this video, so thank you so much. I was having a little look at your Goodreads page, and I noticed that a lot like me, you seem to be into any genre. Doesn't really matter what it is, we'll just vibe with it. So I was thinking about what book I have loved that I would recommend to pretty much anybody who would read any genre, and I think I found the perfect book. It is hyped, so you probably already know about it, but it wasn't on your red shelf from what I could see. So it's Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshi Kawaguchi. Now, I know a lot of people talk about this book, but it's super short, so I thought this could be helpful. It's so good. It's like a translated works from Japanese, I believe, following a bunch of short stories of people trying to escape their grief and their heartbreak, and it's all blended into one big story inside this cafe where you can time travel. This book focuses on the past, but you can go in the future as well, as you'll see in the second book. Idea is they give you a cup of coffee and you have to travel where you want to travel before and get back before the coffee gets cold. Really fitting title, isn't it? And we see a lot of like heartbreak in this book, so it's an emotional roller coaster, but I think it's really, really good, and I think it would be a great short story to get you through all these books you're gonna have to read. And I fully recommend this to everybody. I think it is such a good book. I really hope you enjoy it. Again, thank you so much for asking me to be in your video. I hope this is a 5-star read for you. Good luck. Bye. Happy birthday.
I am so excited that Brooke recommended this book to me. I have seen this on lots and lots of different people's channels, and it just looks like such a fun, cute read. It's also nice and short, which is always fun. But yeah, it just sounds really sweet and really cute, so I'm super excited to read this one as well at some point, like I said. So thank you, Brooke, for this recommendation. So now we're going to go and see what Paige from Pages with Paige has suggested.
Hi Mel, thank you for including me in your BookTube birthday celebrations. I am so excited to be a part of it, so happy birthday! Oh, I just adore your channel, and thank you for being the wonderful person that you are. The book that I have selected for you to read is The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackworth. This is the first in the Hell's Library series, and it is one of my absolute favourites. Book 3 is coming out in November, so I'm very excited to get to that. This is following Claire, who is a librarian in Hell. Essentially, the premise is the library is where any unwritten or uncompleted works, whether it be like a few words or a full manuscript that never get finished, go into this library, and it is the librarian's jobs to look after the manuscripts and to make sure that things don't go haywire. We're starting the book with one of the characters trying to get to their author, and if that happens, not good things will come of it. So it is a fantastic cast of characters, and the mythology in it as well is so fascinating. I think any book lover will love this, and I know that you do like quite a little bit of your fantasy with Pratchett and Name of the Wind. This is definitely an urban fantasy rather than a high fantasy, but I still think it has those same sort of vibes, and I think you'll love it. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Thank you so much. Happy birthday to a book fiend named Mel. I'm so happy. Congratulations and happy birthday. Thank you so much for being a wonderful part of this community, and I love you.
Thank you so much, Paige. That is so kind of you. I love you too. Like I said before, I love all these people. It's just means so much to me that you've said that, and just thank you. And also, thank you for the recommendation. I've seen this one on a number of different people's BookTube channels as well. I know that this was I knew already, I should say, that this is one of Paige's favourite books, so I'm super excited to get to it. It was already on my radar as a book that I'd really like to read, so I'm very excited that Paige has made this recommendation for me. So thank you, Paige. Let's now go and see what Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe has recommended for me.
Thanks for asking me to recommend you a book that I think you'd like. So I've taken a look at some of the books that you've read, and I can see that you do enjoy literary fiction and beautiful writing. You really enjoyed The Goldfinch, Circe. So judging from those books, I want to recommend you The Summer That Melted Everything by Tiffany McDaniel, which is one of my favourite literary fiction books. It's also historical, and just like those books I've listed, it's got beautiful writing that sets up the setting very, very well. It has a distinct focus on characters and themes, and it all builds together very well, even though it's slow and steady accumulation. And I think you could really like it, judging on the books you've read in the past. It is about a city called Brethid, which is really, really hot, and it's having a very hot summer when a minister there, or a priest or something, decides that he wants to have some fun and invites the devil to come to their city so he can meet him and see what the devil is like. And this very young child with startling green eyes shows up and says, "I am the devil." And the story goes from there, and it's talking a lot about good and bad within people and different things, but also whether this child is truly the devil or not, or maybe it's in the people who treat the child as they choose to. So I would be so curious to see what you think about this book, and if you do read it, I hope you love it as well.
Okay, so this book is a book that I don't think I have ever heard of before. It sounds fantastic. She is absolutely correct. I did really enjoy those books that she mentioned, and I do really, really love a really well-written book with really interesting and lyrical writing. I really love character studies, so I'm super excited to read this one. It sounds really, really interesting, and I think that I will really, really enjoy it. So thank you so much, Olivia, for this really fantastic recommendation. Let's go now and see what Mo from Paperback Mo has got.
Hey Mel, the book I've picked for you is The Rosie Project by Graham Simpson. It's got a little bit of everything, a bit of romance, some humour, a strong female character, and off the top of my head, I think it's set in Australia, so yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that. And I gave this book 5 stars, so I hope you enjoy it too.
I have definitely heard of this one before, but I know virtually nothing about it, but I do know that people describe it in a way that makes it sound interesting. So yeah, I'm excited to read this one. A book that has everything is a fantastic book as far as I'm concerned. So thank you, Mo, so much for your recommendation. Let's now go and see what Kat from Brews and Reviews is going to suggest.
I just want to wish Mel a happy second BookTube birthday. I've really loved watching all of your content. You come up with some really creative ideas, and I really love the variety of content that you bring to the BookTube sphere, from your roll of reads to reviews of children's books to your skits. Just fantastic, and I really loved watching all of your videos. Now I get to recommend you a book. So the book that I'm going to be recommending you is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. Now the reason I'm recommending this book is that it is a book that I avoided for a very long time due to BookTube hype and all of the pressure around reading that book, and I really regretted the fact that I put it off. It's a book that I ended up really loving, and it has a really interesting sort of lyrical prose that I really enjoyed, as well as just sadness. It's just a lot of sadness in that book, but I think it's really good and I think you'll really enjoy it, so I really want you to check that book out.
Thank you, Kat. That's so kind of you to say. I'm so glad that you consider my content interesting and a bit different, which is something that I really do strive to achieve. So I'm glad that you consider that I have done so. And yeah, that just makes me feel really warm inside. I know exactly what you mean about BookTube hype, and I actually probably am putting this one off a little bit because of BookTube hype myself. I definitely feel like now I really want to go and read it. I do own it. I put it on TBRs before and just haven't got to it yet. So I think I do need to prioritize it. I do think I'll really enjoy it, but yeah, I think I'm just a bit worried about the hype. So it's good to know that, in your opinion, that it really lives up to it, because I know that you have also found that books haven't necessarily lived up to their hype either. So yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for the recommendation. We're going to go now and see what Crystal from Bon Book Reviews has got to offer.
Beautiful Mel, it was very difficult for me to pick a book for you because I have so many I want to choose from, but I thought it was only fair that I pick one of my favorite reads, which I know you haven't read. This was my favorite book from 2020, and that is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. Based on your previous reads that you've read and enjoyed, and some of the reads we have in common, I think that you'll really enjoy this one. I hope so. Definitely look into the trigger warnings though, and if there's anything in here that's a bit too trigger warning, let me know and I can pick a backup option. But I would love for you to read Kristen Hanna's The Great Alone.
I'm sorry that I made it so hard for you, Crystal. I know what you mean. I have so many books that I love and I really want to recommend to people, but I'm really excited that you recommended this one. Kristen Hanna is an author that I have been wanting to get into for quite a while now and just haven't done so, so I'm super excited to have this recommendation from you. It does sound really amazing, and yeah, especially considering that it was one of your favourite books of 2020, I definitely want to dive in and read that one soon. So thank you so much, Crystal, and let's go now and see what Chloe from Chloe Reads Books would like to suggest.
Hi Mal, thank you so much for choosing me to be a part of your video and choose your books. I am so grateful to be included. I have gone for a book that I know that you want to read because you asked to buddy read it with me. I absolutely love chatting to you, so I thought the best way that we can continue that is making sure we have a buddy read planned together. So I think you should read Little Creeping Things by Chelsea Itchison. I'm still going to go with that as the pronunciation. This is a YA horror of some sort involving this creepy looking doll. Okay, I don't actually know if there's a doll in it, but the doll is creepy. It says, everyone's a suspect and no one is safe in this twisty debut from a compelling new voice in YA. Don't miss it. And I think it would be really fun to read this one together. So yeah, that is my pick.
Of course, Chloe. I'm so grateful that you agreed to be part of this video. I love chatting with you as well, and I'm super excited for our buddy read. We have now set up the buddy read for this book. I'm really intrigued by this book. I got it in a subscription box a while ago, and I did think it sounded interesting, but just never got around to it. And like Chloe said, I did see that she had it in haul as well, commented and said, let's buddy read. And yeah, I'm just super excited to buddy read with her. I love chatting with you. Also, Chloe? I think I tried to say Connor and Chloe at the same time. Anyway, so yeah, thank you so much for agreeing to the buddy read, and I really look forward to doing that buddy read with you. And the final two people that I have to recommend me a book today are Scott and Nell from Gunpowder Fiction and Plot. So...
Okay, we've got a book each for you. Now, I am taking the radical technique of recommending you a book I absolutely hated. In fact, the book I'm recommending to you made me do this. Nonetheless, I know that you really like The Night Circus, you like Greek myths, you like fantasy and setting, and you like a little bit of literary and a little bit of entertainment and just a good all-round novel like that. And I think that this is a novel that you will really appreciate even if I hated it. So that's why I'm going to recommend you Piranesi.
I'm going to recommend you a book I loved. Controversial.
Why would you do that?
Why would I do that? The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood is one of my favourite Margaret Atwoods. I think it was my favourite, and then it got knocked off by reading another Margaret Atwood. I think that it's pretty universally liked in the sense that it's very well plotted and literary enough for those of us who like that. So I hope you enjoy it.
I love that Scott's approach to recommending me books is to recommend a book that he hated. But you're absolutely right, Scott. I really want to read Piranesi. I've seen so many people talk about it, and it looks like exactly the kind of book that I would absolutely love. So I really appreciate the recommendation, and I love the way that you recommended it. Thank you also, Nell. The Blind Assassin is a book that has been very kind of low-key on my radar for a really long time. My best friend, who I used to live with, has I think all of the Margaret Atwoods, and she recommended this one to me like 15 years ago or something, and I never read it, and I don't really entirely know why. At the time I was reading a lot more fantasy. I didn't think it was my kind of thing. I've since read a couple of Atwoods. I really want to give more Atwoods a try, so I'm super excited to dive in and give The Blind Assassin a try. So thank you both so much for those recommendations. Hi! So it turns out that we are not quite done yet. I filmed everything else about a week or so ago, and since then I have received another clip from Kaz from Cats and Camera. So let's go now and check out what Kaz has
First of all, happy merry BookTube birthday, obviously. Glad to see you still here, glad to see you doing all the fun content, and I hope you're here for years to come. So, you asked me to pick a book for you to read, and although I could have just gone, here's a book that I really like, read it, I wanted to make sure it was a book that you also wanted to read. So I did the old look on Goodreads, and you can do the thing where you can compare books. I saw this book and I thought, yes, definitely, please read that. And that book is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So first of all, it's been many, many years since I read this book. It is due a reread, really. But what I do know is it made me cry a lot. It was really good. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm very picky with 5 stars, so I'm hoping that you will also really love this book. This is about Achilles and Patroclus and their whole relationship and their whole life, and yeah, it was really good, and I really hope you enjoy it. But if you don't, that's fine as well, but please do. The Song of Achilles.
I am really excited about this suggestion. I have definitely had my eye on this book for quite a while and have been really keen to read it. I read Circe, also by Madeline Miller, and absolutely loved it, and I've heard nothing but good things about The Song of Achilles, so I definitely have already had it on my radar, but I'm really excited that Kaz has brought it back to my attention and suggested it as a book that I should read. So thank you so much, Kaz, for your recommendation. That is this time the end of the video. So yeah, thank you everyone that got involved, that sent me clips. I'm really, really grateful that you all are friends of mine and that you were all willing to put aside some time and effort to create these videos for me. So thank you all so much. It's been really, really kind of you. If you have any comments on any of the books that were recommended or any books that you think that I should read yourselves, please do comment all of that below. All of my social media details are listed in the description below, so if you'd like to go and find me on any of those other platforms, please feel free to do so. Like I said at the beginning, everyone who gave me a suggestion and a clip, all of their details are listed in the description below, so you should definitely go and check them all out. They're all fantastic content creators, beautiful people, and I think the world of all of them, so I really think you should go and check them all out. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.